Am I wrong for selling out on my grandma's secret recipe? My grandma was a wonderful baker and had a secret cake recipe that she had created herself. It used some very uncommon spice combinations in the cake and frosting that produced a very unique but delicious cake. She would always make it for our big family gatherings, and it was always the most popular dessert. When she got sick a couple of years ago, she decided to share the recipe so that it wouldn't die with her, and offered to give it to any of her kids or grandkids who wanted it. I was the only one who asked for it before she died. I don't know why no one else did, as there were several other bakers in the family. After she passed, I took over bringing the cake to family gatherings, and everyone was happy to still be able to enjoy it. I also started making cakes for friends and family, and then for others by word of mouth to make some extra cash on the side. My business was really starting to pick up around the time the pandemic hit, as people who had my cake recommended me to their own friends and family. It soon became too much to keep up with my tiny home kitchen, so I reached out to a friend who had a catering business with a professional kitchen. Since her business took a big hit with COVID, I made a deal to use her kitchen to make my cakes and help supplement the takeout business she just started to get by. My cousin Jane recently found out that Grandma's recipe was one of my best sellers and said that I had no right to sell out Grandma's recipe, especially after keeping it all to myself. She had asked for it late last year, but I said no. I told her that since she had the chance to get it from Grandma before she died and didn't seem to care enough to bother then. Since Jane had lost her job, she decided to try selling cakes too, which I think is why she had asked for the recipe. Unfortunately for her, it's not going well. The reviews on her cakes have not been good, and no one has been recommending her. Jane said that the only reason my business was doing well was because of Grandma's cake, which she wanted to sell too, and my access to a professional kitchen. That's kind of how a business works. Yeah, she's doing well because she has the means for it. You don't. Bye. The kitchen does help with being able to work on multiple orders at once, but my business is doing well because I actually make good cakes. Jane is a good cook, but not a good baker. She doesn't follow measurements properly and instead does everything to taste, which works for cooking but not baking. Using too much or too little of any ingredients like flour, eggs, or butter, or even their starting temperature will not give you the results you want. Jane is demanding that I either stop selling Grandma's cake or teach her the recipe so that she can make it too. I refused and said that she was a hypocrite for wanting to sell the cake herself after getting angry at me for doing so. When she gave me the recipe, Grandma said that her biggest regret was not opening a bakery like she had dreamed. My ultimate dream now too. I think she loved so many people enjoying her cake. So, am I the asshole? Okay guys, we have an update. Firstly, I opened my bakery. I found a great spot near my city's office park / main commuter route for the big city of a caterer takeout deli that closed. We've been open since June and business has been great with all the morning and evening traffic and the lunch crowd from the business park. We sell cakes, pastries, bread, buns, etc. Typical bakery stuff. I also have a cook who comes in for a few hours in the morning to do eggs and stuff for breakfast sandwiches and wraps for the office folks. A few weeks after I opened, Jane stopped by. She apologized and confirmed what I and others had suspected. She only cared about the cake recipe because she was jealous of my success with my custom cake business. She always wanted to work in food but hated the idea of losing her evenings and working in a high-pressure kitchen. So when I suddenly started doing so well, she thought she could do the same but didn't know how to start her own catering business. I apologized too for not wanting to share the recipe, but I was afraid that she would either ruin my business by putting out bad cakes and no one would want to buy it from me either. I then offered to have her come in 3 days a week to offer a soup / stew of the day during the lunch rush. I had the extra kitchen space for him, and soups and stews really do suit her style of cooking to taste. She loved the idea and they were an instant hit. She had complete freedom to create whatever 2 kinds of soup she wanted each day, just adding things on a whim, and they were always delicious. They got very popular with the office folks since there aren't many other takeout options nearby without driving an extra 5 to 10 minutes. We soon expanded to her coming in every weekday and then making a cold soup option on Fridays and Saturdays lunch. Close Sundays. It's been a great arrangement since she keeps her evenings and weekends and gets the creative control. In the last couple of weeks, we've also started doing take-home heat and serve dishes too, like lasagna, chicken, steak taco, or sub kits, etc. I'll do the pasta and bread, and she does other prep and sauces. So far, they've been very popular. She's tried her hand at baking a time or two again and has decided that she just doesn't have the patience for it and hasn't asked for the recipe again, nor has any other family member. P.S. For those wondering, Grandma had a standing offer for over a year before she died when she wasn't sick enough to stop baking for anyone to come over, and she'd personally walk them through the recipe. She was very sad and disappointed that I was the only one who did so. The other bakers would always make excuses about time or say later. Shortly before she died, she said that since I was the only one who bothered, the recipe was mine now. It's still my best-selling cake. Am I wrong for asking my parents for their entire estate if they want me to be my sister's guardian? I, 23 female, have been told my entire life that if anything happens to my parents, I will be my sister's guardian. She is 33 and has some disabilities. She is currently living in a group home. The government pays for a good portion of the cost, but not all. My parents have made sure that they have accessed every resource available for her to make sure she has as good as a life as she can. I was visiting her last weekend when they brought it up again. They are both reasonably healthy, but they both had health scares in the last couple of years. They once again said that I would be her guardian. I have been giving this a fair bit of thought. I have 2 older brothers. They are both married and established in their careers. They would be better choices than I am. I want to go see the world. I am lucky enough that my job can be done from anywhere that I can access the internet. When we went to dinner, I brought it up and said that I had 3 ideas. 1, they make all 3 of us her guardians so we could split the responsibilities and duties. 2, they leave their entire estate to my sister in a trust that will oversee her care. Or 3, they leave me their entire estate with provision that I become her sole guardian and take full responsibility. Mine is sentimental stuff for the rest of my family, obviously. I thought that was fair since it's not like they are rich and their estate will most likely consist of their house and the insurance policies they took out when they realized the long-term cost of care for my sister. They said I'm trying to shrink my responsibility to my sister and that I'm greedy for trying to get everything. I had one last suggestion and they really hated it. I said that they are welcome to cut me out completely out of their will, but that had to include guardianship of my sister. They could leave everything to her and my brothers, but that meant I would be completely free of responsibility for her care. My dad got really angry and my mom was crying when I left. My brothers both called me to say I was being an asshole springing this on my parents and that I was being greedy trying to keep them and their families from getting anything when our parents passed away. I asked both of them if they wanted 100% responsibility for our sister in return for the entire estate. I volunteered to sign away everything for them. Neither one took me up on the offer. I hate the fact that just because you're younger and you're not at the stage of your life where you're married and have kids like your other siblings, that they think they can spring it up on you because you don't currently have the same responsibilities. But no matter what, all of that stuff should be split equally between siblings. Like, why is that my fault that my sister or you guys had a child with disabilities? Or why is it my fault that my brothers are married and I'm not and I don't have kids? Like, you don't get to say that.
Am I in the wrong for walking out of the restaurant during my wife's birthday dinner with her family? For context, my wife's birthday was a few days ago. I took her out last weekend somewhere nice for just me and her to have lunch. And I took her out and we did a whole walk hiking day, which is her favorite thing to do. This weekend, her parents wanted to take her out for dinner, wherever she wanted to go. She asked my opinion on it, and I simply answered, literally anywhere except Shogun's is fine. She knows I don't like that restaurant. I just don't like the flavors. Her dad loves the place, so we've been going there often. Every single time, I didn't like it, so I came to the conclusion I would just stop going there. Spending $30 on a plate of food that I won't eat seems ridiculous. Cue today's events. We went out with our parents and our kids, had a nice day together. Time comes to decide where we're going for dinner. Wife and family says Shogun's. I think, okay, no big deal. I'll just get a kid's meal or something. Chicken strips and fries. I remind my wife on the way to the restaurant that I don't plan on eating anything off the menu, but I would be more than happy to sit with everyone, enjoy the company, and I'll order chicken strips. She's happy, I'm happy, all good. Until we get to the restaurant, that is. Turns out the kids' meals are only for 10 and under. Obviously, I'm way over that age limit, so I thought, no big deal, I'll just relax and enjoy company, then I'll grab some food after we leave. According to Shogun's policy, you have to pay per person whether or not that person's eating. They wanted me to pay $10 to watch other people eat, when the kids' meal would have only cost $7. So I asked again if I could just get the kids' meal. They refused. My wife was getting upset over the $10 charge for me to sit there. I told my wife that I'm not paying $10 to watch everyone else eat dinner.
Am I wrong for telling my son I'm disappointed he invited his girlfriend to his graduation instead of me? My son is graduating next month, and for some reason the school hasn't changed the policy to how it was a couple years ago. This means you only get to invite 2 people, no exceptions. I even called to confirm. The thing is, my son and his girlfriend have been together for 3 years and she's a year older, so already graduated. My son had a talk with me last week and explained that since he's only able to have 2 people, he'd like his girlfriend to attend. And that, to be honest, he just wants her and my husband there. He claims that he picked randomly between me and my husband, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm just really disappointed. Am I wrong for telling my son that I'm disappointed he invited his girlfriend to his graduation instead of me? He claims that he picked randomly which of us should stay home, but I'm not so sure about that. I told him I'll respect his decision, and obviously I can't force him to change it, but I am disappointed. I explained that while this is his moment, it's something I want to be there for. I told him I felt that it was kind of silly to have his high school girlfriend come over one of his own parents. He got angry at that and said I wasn't taking his relationship seriously, and he ended the conversation after that. My husband understands my frustration and even offered to switch, but I don't want him to miss it either. Am I wrong?